Hello everybody, my name is Lara. I go by Losing Lara on the interwebs. It is VEDA Day 2, and it is World Autism Day. If you don't know, I was diagnosed with autism like 2 months ago. So it's been a new, very enlightening experience where I'm learning a lot of new things and how I interact with the world and why sometimes I don't interact with the world very well. But yeah, because of World Autism Day, I just wanted to talk about autism a little bit and how I kind of relate to it. The main way I've started understanding how I have trouble with communication is not so much the literal talking communication, it's understanding the changes in communication or how I'm supposed to interact with somebody, and how people can be very fluid in their definition of things. The biggest example of this is friends. I'm slowly starting to realize that when people say friends, they don't mean one particular thing and one particular way of interacting with people, but I do. that is my that is how I understand how to do friends, is like, if someone is my friend, I interact with them in a certain way. I guess other people will interact with their friends in different ways, and it's all very confusing and I don't really understand it. Yeah, the thing I'm learning is like I need to sort of have defined names for friend groups, sort of, and the way that I interact with these sort of friend groups, and because having a definition for a different sort of mode of interaction really helps me not having a sort of defined name for how I interact with sort of a certain level of friend really helps me. Like, my therapist sort of described it as like a target, like an archery target, where in the very middle you have like your friends you're super active with. It sort of like branches out from there, and most people's targets are sort of very fluid and people sort of move on it all the time, and they don't even really realize that they might be placing people on this target. But like for me, like it's very visual, so I have to sort of place people on this target, and the main issue that I have is I know how to interact with like the inner sort of circle of the target, where all the very active people in my life, and then when it goes out from there, I don't know how to interact with any of those people. I really have trouble sort of figuring out exactly how to interact with those people without asking like a lot of questions, and I should ask those questions so that I can figure it out, and it's coming from a place of just like not understanding and needing to understand that, rather from like anxiety, which is what I thought it was before, and I hated that. I hated feeling like I was putting a lot of my anxiety on somebody, and so I have an easier time understanding sort of the active friendship sort of way of doing friends, because that's easier to sort of quantify. It's easy to sort of put into kind of like an equation, like you do this and that equals friends. When people sort of don't do things that fit into an equation that are more sort of like understood or sort of subconscious, or sort of just are, things that just sort of are, but then for them it equals friends, that's something that I really, really struggle with. So like the way I really understand friendship, and then I'm able to understand friendship, is like through very active things, so like talking and quality time and things like that. I've also found I have a lot of trouble with social media. So I've been trying to pare down on my social media, but quarantine has made that kind of hard. I have a really hard time with just sort of putting things out there and not having people respond. That's something that is weird to me. Facebook always really stressed me out because people will just sort of like things, even things that like I'm asking questions on, like they'll just like it, and I don't understand why they don't comment because that's what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it to like open a line of communication, but apparently that's not how everybody else uses social media, or at least, you know, like a large majority of people. It would always really frustrate me when I would like put something out there, including like YouTube videos, and like not get any sort of response or like connection with anybody. It's so confusing to me because I don't understand why if I'm saying something, then people don't say something back. Like, to me, in my brain, it's sort of the equivalent of I'm standing in front of somebody and saying something and they just sort of stare at me or give me a, like, not even give me a thumbs up, like just no reaction. That sort of is like that equivalent to me. And I have a really hard time sort of understanding that that's sort of not what other people are doing, but this stuff is all really hard to explain. I found a lot of really good resources like YouTube channels and like a Twitter tag that helped me sort of get an idea of how different people experience autism. I've been learning a lot of the ways to sort of deal with a lot of things that I don't understand and try and find my way through the world in a way that's not as maybe detrimental to my mental health. One of the things that I've kind of been learning is like stimming and overstimulation. And so I've started recognizing more when I'm overstimulated, been allowing myself to stim a little bit. So this is my main stim, where I'll just kind of squeeze my hands like this. I'll also snap sometimes if I'm, like, I think if my energy is really high. This is sort of when I'll snap. Either it could be anxious, it could be good energy, bad energy, but I'll just start snapping. Or like petting things, sort of. This is a tentacle kitty, and so the texture of this fabric is really nice, and so I will use this a lot to help with like overstimulation. I also got a little dragon unicorn, no, it's a unicorn keychain to keep on my keys that is a stuffed animal that has fabric very similar to this, so I can sort of take it out in the world and sort of just be petting my keychain, and I don't think it's bad if people carry stuffed animals around, but for one, I'm not super comfortable with it, which is maybe something that I have to get over. Also, I still have ADHD. I might leave this fucker somewhere. So I don't want to do that. So the keychain is really helpful. This video is sort of rambly, and I sort of wanted it to be because that's how I sound a little bit when I don't mask as much. We'll try and explain something that I'm not entirely sure how to explain, and then I will kind of end up talking in circles. Also, eye contact. A lot of eye contact has not been looking at the camera as much. I'm much more comfortable sort of talking and like petting my cat and sort of looking down like this. Things like that, depending on how comfortable I am with the person. Kind of about what's been going on in my life lately. Oh, one last thing to add. The D&D show that I told you in a couple videos ago that I have started watching, the Dimension 20, they have a autistic character, and oh my god. She's so great. If I had seen this character before now, I would have just been like, I think I'm autistic. Because everything she like did and said, I was just like, what the like, I have been screaming about this character for probably a couple weeks now because I love her so much, because she's like, it just makes me so happy to like see this character and be like, oh my god, I do that. That makes so much more sense. I do that. And so I want to thank Dimension 20 and Brennan Lee Mulligan for creating this NPC, Ida Egg for, and she's really helped me sort of understand how, like, when I'll maybe ask if something is normal or something is okay, it's not so much coming from a place of anxiety, though it couples with that a little bit, but it's more coming from a place where I just don't know. I don't know, and so she does that a lot. She'll, ask if something is normal or ask if something is okay, or be like, I don't know if this is the right time to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And it's like, oh my god, it's just so nice to see that. It's so nice to see that, and so that makes me really, really happy. Yeah, if you would like to talk about anything that I talked about in this video, feel free to put that down in the comments. If you have autism, cool. I would like more autistic friends. So if you would like to put that down in the comments as well, that would be Dope. It's World Autism Awareness Day. It's also apparently World Autism Awareness Month. Happy autism awareness, and now you're aware of my autism. Cool. Goodbye, and I'll see you tomorrow. Feel free to put that down in the comments. Oh wow, the light just got really weird.